and welcome to another episode of the Java Beginners Interview Series. And this is your host, Ture Nayab. And now we are going to learn how to find the largest of three numbers using the ternary operators. So we have already been introduced to ternary operators in the last video. If you have not watched the video, please go ahead and watch it first so that this episode is better understood. Now, let's get on the screen and start discussing how to find the largest of three numbers using the ternary operators. Now, there's a little bit of logic to be understood here. So we'll first go to the whiteboard to understand the logic before we start writing the code. Okay. So here, I'm going to say that there are three numbers. So I'm going to say int a is equals to 32, int b is equals to 72, and int c is equals to 70. Okay. I hope we can just look at here and understand that b is going to be the largest, right? But how that could be extracted using the ternary operator. So in general, if you want to find the largest of three numbers, what you do is you take up the first variable. You can take actually any variable, but I'd like to take the first variable. Okay. So first we check if A is greater than B and if A is greater than C. If A is greater than B and it is also greater than C, then we can directly say that A is the greatest. If that is not the case, we can chuck it out and then we can check if B is greater than C, then B is the greatest. Else, C is the greatest. Right? So, we have to do the exact same thing using the ternary operator. Generally, if you have seen the previous video, in order to find the greatest of two variables or two numbers, we used to write something like this: int res is equals to a greater than b, then get a else b. Right? Before the question mark, we write the condition. After the question mark, we write what should be gotten when the statement is true. And after the colon, we should write what should be gotten if the statement is false. Right? However, if you think about it, I said we will have to check both. In this case, if A is greater than B and if A is greater than C. So only if A is greater than both B and C, then can A be called the largest. Otherwise, we'll have to check the other two. Right? So let's continue writing this code. Here, int res would be, first we will check if A is greater than B, and in Java, we write and with two ampersand symbol. These are logical operators to check if both the conditions are true, right? So here we want to say if A is greater than B and if A is greater than C. I like to put it in a round bracket just for our convenience. Then print A, meaning store A in the variable result if A is greater than B and if it is greater than C. Otherwise, right, this is the false part. We'll have to check again that B is greater than C. So in the false part, again we are writing a condition. If B is greater than C, then print B or get B into the variable result, else get C. Okay, now let's read it again. So first of all, we'll start by checking if A is greater than B and if A is greater than C. So in this case, 32, if it is greater than 72 and if 32 is greater than 70. So both of these, this is false, meaning it will not go to the true part at all. It will directly go to the false part. This is the false part. And in the false part, we are checking if B is greater than C. B is 72 greater than C, which is 70. So 70 is greater than 72 is greater than 70, then it will go to this true part, which is printing, getting B, right? So B, which is 72, will now be stored in the variable result. And if you print it, you will get the largest of the three numbers, right? Now, if you have understood the logic, let us go ahead and write it in the code. So let me take you to Eclipse. The code is actually quite simple, just like what we have done. So int A is equals to 87, int B is equals to 564, int C is equals to just a random number 453. Okay. Now result, oops, int result, because this has not been declared earlier, equals, I'll put the condition in a round bracket. If A is greater than B and A is greater than C, then get A, else check if B is greater than C. If that is the case, then get B, oops, question mark, get B, else get C. Okay, so we have already discussed as to what this will give us. Let us go ahead and print our statements. Again, how on earth do I make the same mistake multiple times? I wonder. Okay, so if I go ahead and write result, save, and print. So we are getting 564 as the largest number. If I make this as 870, then I would get 870 as the result. Now, this is in order to get the largest of the three numbers. If you want to get the smallest of the three numbers, just go ahead and change all the greater than signs to the less than signs. And that's about it. Let's check. So amongst this, C is the smallest. So let's go ahead and run it. 453 is what we got. The logic remains the same. If A is less than B and if A is less than C, then A is the smallest. If that is not the case, then check if B is less than C. If B is less than C, then B is the smallest, else C is the smallest, right? And that should be stored. And that's the logic behind it. I hope you understood the logic. If you have any more questions that you would want me to take up in this series, you can always post them in the comments below. If you like the video, then please hit that like button and subscribe. Have a great day ahead.